Okay. Are we here now? Oh my gosh. I was like, how do I do this?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Okay, there you go.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
finishing up making a post about the video.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I was like, how in the world am I supposed to do this? I didn't know I was supposed to click like add to stream. And I was like, wait, what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Is this your first time using StreamYard?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's okay. We've all been through that. What did you use before? Just YouTube?
Yeah, it was just YouTube before
Before the Hangouts. Oh,
yeah,
Hangouts was
before the Hangouts. I
great.
know.
Oh,
I
I
miss
was
that
so mad at YouTube for doing that. I'm like,
I know. I miss it so much.
Like, why?
I know. I honestly don't know why they got rid of it. It's like that was the best thing ever.
I know. Yeah. Unfortunately, not anymore.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I've resigned myself, but I remember when they first announced it, I'm like, what? No. I was railing at them.
I honestly don't know why they got rid of it. It was like the best thing, and I mean, because you could do so much with it.
Oh, you already pressed the live button.
Oh yeah.
So we're live. Hi, everybody.
Hi. I'm sorry. Hi guys, how are you today? This is my first time using it, so we're kind of just going with the flow here.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Okay today. Hi, Death Pony. That's my sister.
Hello. Hi, Cassie's sister. I remember because I have a sister too. It's always like, oh, hi, Gwen's sister. I'm like, I have a name.
Oh, Carrie. Okay, so gonna get started.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so excited about this. Like, it's just I just think it's something that is important, and I figured it might help educate some other people that might be interested in it. Mm-hmm. So, but for those of you who don't know, my name is Cassie. My channel is On the Fritz, and I was actually, I went to public school from kindergarten to 6th grade, and then I was homeschooled from 7th to 12th grade. And so my mom just decided that it would be best for me. We had a little bit of issues with some of the public school system concerning my visual impairment. So yeah, we just decided it would probably be best just to, try the homeschool thing out. And I absolutely loved it. Did you have any previous homeschool experience?
No, actually, I did not. The first impression I've got with homeschool is my sister. So my son is 4. So little Pablo's 4, and my niece and nephew are 8 and 10. So it was just a few years ago that my sister started homeschooling her kids when they were around 4 and 5. And I'm like, oh, I want to do the same.
Yeah.
I want to do the same. So yeah, that's the first time that really we even as a family, really thought about homeschooling. So,
right. Yeah. I think that's how my mom heard about it, from either it was like a friend of a friend or something, and we thought it was really interesting, and they were having, a good experience with it and everything. So yeah, what made you decide to get into it or to look into it? I guess because of your sister?
Yeah, it was really my sister who started the whole thing. And I remember she would not stop talking about it. It would be something like every time we're on the phone, she'd talk to me about all the videos and all these articles that she's read, and then just on and 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 on. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. Okay, I get it. I get it already. And then yeah, so it's really amazing actually how much information is out there on YouTube and just like on blogs and like just on the internet, because my sister basically she learned everything just from the internet.
Right. Yeah.
And honestly, that's exactly what I did. And the thing is, it's kind of really funny because when my sister started, she was doing the whole research thing. And I mean, like, there was a point that I was just like, okay, continue. I talked to her. But then when little Pablo got old enough, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to start watching these videos about how to teach your 2-year-old. And like, oh, look, there's a JDA video. Like, I think like so many people in the homeschooling realm, at least for like younger children, have heard of JDA. So she's like a really big YouTuber. And like, you know, just like, oh, how to homeschool your 1-year-old or your 18-month-old and how to do like activities. And then so that's how I started. And I just kept going on and on about it to my sister. And at that point, she was like, then the tables kind of turned because she's like, to me. And I'm just like on and on about the same things that she was on.
Like you got hooked as well.
Yeah, exactly. I really did.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it actually started with toddler activities, like for me anyway, because I'm like, okay, I want to do something, I want to teach him, but like I'm not the best teacher. Like my sister, she worked at a daycare. She you know, did a program in school all about like teaching, and she's been in the classroom being teacher's assistant and all that stuff. But I'm just like, I don't have any of that experience. So I had to start like, you know, from zero, from absolutely zero.
Well,
And
you had a kid, so that helped, you know.
yeah, exactly. And then so then I started just looking up like, what can I do just, you know, for learning type activities for 1-year-old, or even before or after. And then I started learning about visual stimulation and then like all these different kinds of things. So oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, Cassie. And oh, excuse me 1 second. I'm so sorry. Oh, Joseph, mom, Joseph, can you please go back to your room? Okay, mommy's on the live stream. I told you, remember? Oh my god. Oh, shh. Okay, Joseph. Yeah. Where was I?
Life of a mom.
Exactly. Yeah, it really is.
We're talking about visual stimulation and everything.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and then just like all these sensory activities. So that it started with those, and just like logic and puzzles. And the thing is, with little Pablo, when he was younger, we actually thought he wasn't saying a lot of things. So he wasn't meeting the, you know, when the doctor gives you like all these milestones of, oh, they should be doing this in 6 months. They should be doing this in 12 months. They should be walking by this.
Yeah.
And the thing is that there were like, especially for your first child, you're just sitting there and you're just over analyzing, overthinking every single point. Like, is he doing this? Is he doing that? I don't know. It's been 6 months and he still hasn't done this. And then so
and everybody, like all the kids and people and stuff learn at different times and stuff too. So it's like kind of like, or do they know at some point?
I heard that, but they would give you a time frame. So it'd be like from 3 to 6 months. And then I'm like, it's 7 months and he's still not doing it. What am I doing wrong?
Oh, no.
And then so that's kind of where it started. And then I think I don't know how old he was, but he was just not talking. Like the only thing that he would say was mama. And
Mhm.
then like, but everything was mama. I was mama, his dad was mama, like everything was mama. The bed was mama, like a toy is mama's. So I mean, we actually he had speech therapy for a while, and then actually what's funny is after all that agonizing over like him not talking and all this, now he just does not want to stop talking. He will talk to you all day, and I'm like, wow, what have I done? It doesn't. No, seriously, he will tell you a long story. Like he'll make the whole thing up, and then it'll just keep going, and then there's never a the end.
Oh, gosh.
Because if there is a new story, he'll come up with a new story.
New story. Yeah.
But so that's how I really got into homeschooling, even thinking about homeschooling, because when you watch on YouTube, you slide down that rabbit hole of watching these videos about
Right.
toddlers and then sensory stuff. And then there's a video of like a mom doing homeschool with her 2-year-old. And then and then you just, it's like this thing where you get sucked into watching more and more and more of it.
Yeah.
And so then I started watching these videos about like homeschool versus public school.
Oh, gosh.
And then like all the different methods of teaching, whether it's a Montessori or I can't remember I can't remember now, but there's like there's a lot of
Yeah, there's all
other
different kinds.
unschooling, there's unschooling, there's like
Yeah.
all these different curriculums. And so that's really how it got started.
Okay, that's cool though. Like, yeah, my mom she heard it from a friend of a friend, and at that time there was not anywhere near, the technology and just available resources that there are
Mhm.
today. I
Yeah.
mean, before then it was just like, okay, I'm gonna research it by talking to people. And
Mhm.
like we had some internet and stuff like that, but really it was just, word of mouth and talking to people about what resources they used and curriculum that they used and everything
Mhm.
like that. And I thought that that's another reason I wanted to do this was because there's so much more available now
Oh,
and
yeah.
way a lot more. Because at that time, it was like, I don't know, kind of like only certain people like homeschool or something, or and all this other stuff. Like it was kind of odd. It wasn't very. A lot of people hadn't heard of it, and if they did, they were like,
Mhm.
"Oh, okay, like they're weird." Like I don't know, like that's the way I kind of felt at that time. Like they're weird people. They homeschool, like, and
Yeah, I
there's so
totally
many
get
more
it.
people. There's so many more people that do it today. So
And the thing is that there's a lot, I feel there's a lot of reasons to do it. So, I the reason why we homeschooled is quite manifold, right? So we had a
right,
lot of different reasons. So first, you know, we want me and Pablo, my husband, want to be able to teach little Pablo our values and
mhm,
everything, and also just be able to spend that time with him,
right,
and give him, and also just share our Christian values, which we don't believe that the public school does
right,
very
right.
very well. But honestly, even if it had nothing to do with values or religion or anything, like take that away, and still, statistically speaking, homeschooled kids just do better
Yeah, they really
academically.
do. Yeah.
They really do, and the statistics prove that. And the thing is that when you have to remember that in public school, they have what, like a one teacher for like 20 to 30
20, yeah,
kids.
20 or 30 kids, yeah.
And most of the time, during the class, it's a lot of classroom management. It's not like all learning, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, you guys have to be quiet, and like somebody's doing doing something wrong, and like people aren't paying attention. And then also the thing is, you can't go as fast or as
Or
slow.
slow. Yeah,
So for
the pace has a
each
lot to do with it.
exactly. Each student is going to have different needs, and will excel in different areas. And then
Mhm.
so they're already like learned or know how to do something, and they still have to do the same thing for a while because the other kids don't. And
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that, the other kid, there's a problem with the other kids or anything. It's just that I want to be able to go at little Pablo's pace. And if
Yeah.
he already knows something, I'm not going to sit there and just do busy work,
Right.
right? Like,
Right.
that's how I felt like when I was in school. It's a lot of busy work. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And so,
that's one of the things that I had to whenever, because I loved English, and so I excelled at English. I was doing high school English at, like,
mm,
6th and 7th grade, and then but my
mhm.
math was just, like, awful. I was having the awful like, just
And I mean, it works the other way too. If
I
there's
was
like a subject that your child that you're homeschooling is struggling in, you can just sit down and just focus on that. You don't
right,
have to be mindful of the rest of the class. The teacher can't always just stop for one student who
right.
doesn't understand, right? So like when it's your child, you just stop and like focus on that thing until they do understand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I loved about it, was being able to go at my own pace, and if it took me
Mhm.
longer to get something, then that's fine. If it didn't, then I can go on to the next thing, and, I mean, even home, like, when I mean, you're able to graduate. I mean, if you're able to go at your own pace and, like, just blaze through things, then, we had people in our homeschool that graduated and they were 14 years old, you know?
Yeah. It's funny, I just ran across this article this morning about a 12-year-old who is graduating high school and graduating college in the same month. So I was like, oh,
Oh,
wow, that's pretty cool.
wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I just think it would be so awesome to be able to be finished with school that early, that you could go on and,
Mhm.
like, you have,
And
what, 6+ years that you can now, like, be like, "Okay, I'm gonna go do this with my life," you know?
yeah, and the thing is that he already has like a startup. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life?
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I
What
was
was the startup? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I
That's
just like
awesome, though.
read the article, and yeah. Yeah, but I think that's so cool. And that's like kind of the same boat that me and my sister are on. Like, if I mean, we're not going to force our kids to do anything, but
Right,
if they can like do college courses while they're in high school, then it'll be better for them because they'll have more time later to work on their career or to do what they want,
right,
basically.
yeah. Yeah, that yeah, that was gonna be my next question, was, like, just all the advantages, there are. I mean, just the time with family and going at your own pace, and to me too, like, I did get bullied a little bit when I went to public school because of my visual
Mhm.
impairment, but, that was a big thing, was, like, there wasn't any peer pressure, like, from a ton of other kids, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and bullying is such an issue, like, way more today than it was even back then, and
Mhm.
it makes me sad. It, like, breaks my heart that, that happens.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I when I went to public school, I was the only one who was, visually impaired in my school, and so that was hard on a social level, so, Ye it but that for me anyway, like, in a lot of ways, I did learn a lot of things being
Yeah,
around, people who aren't visually impaired and, like, having to deal with, just the social interactions of doing that. But the thing is,
Yeah.
at the same time, though, I mean, I didn't really have a mentor, and my parents weren't really not that involved in school or anything like that, so on a social level. So I mean, I had to learn basically on my own. And so I kind of wish that, you know, I don't know, for me, it was just kind of hit or miss socially. And
Hmm.
so in a way, actually, I think that I'm hoping that by homeschooling little Pablo, I can actually help him with that aspect too,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also fun. You know what? It's really fun to
It
homeschool. It
is.
is. Like, what other way? Like, you're not gonna go to school and like be able to go outside like every day if you wanted to and do your work there.
Yeah. Yeah. You can
And
go
or
like,
like,
you don't just have to do it at home. You could go like,
mhm.
to a park or,
Oh yeah.
anything like that. That you can just go and get
And
outside. And like, I love that you
mhm.
can, that you were able to, because we started at like, whenever we started at like 7 o'clock in the morning. We'd be done by like 10 or 11.
Exactly, because
And then we had the rest
you
of the
have
day.
so much less to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to be sitting there and waiting for the other kids to be quiet
I
and
know.
like pay attention. You don't have to move from like one place to another place to like all these different classes because it's just right there. You have everything right there.
Yeah.
So that's what I think is really great about parts of homeschool. And also like, I really don't have that much experience. This is technically little Pablo is should be like, if he was in the public school system, he would probably still be in preschool.
Yeah.
He's 4, but he's at a kindergarten level.
Yeah.
He is like seriously at a kindergarten level, and in some ways like past that.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is that kids love to learn. And if you can find like what they're passionate about, what's interesting for them, and how like they learn, what environment they learn the best in, like they will just soak it in so much, and they'll enjoy it. They
Yeah.
really will.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
a lot of fun, like doing homeschool with little kids. I mean, I haven't done it with older ones. I'm sure it's fun too, but like just from my experience, we'll play so many games, and
Yeah.
he loves that kind of thing. Just make it into a game, and then he'll be happy. It won't feel like school. Like, oh, I
Like
remember when I
learning.
was
And
going to
yeah.
public school, I'm like, oh, I don't want to get up. I don't want to go to school. It's so much work.
Yeah.
But like for him, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you do this, but like, we just kind of, there were days that we would homeschool, and then we would just have like, we didn't have like off days, like, normal public school system and stuff like that. So we would work on, if they had, like Memorial Day off or
Mhm.
Martin Luther King Jr. Day or something like that, then we would work those days. And then other days we would like have a park day, or we would have like a field trip day, or,
Mhm.
there's like kind of a freedom of being able to do it how you want to do it.
Oh,
Um,
yes. Yes, absolutely. Like, there are times where I'm like, okay, well, it's a holiday and I think mommy needs a break. So
yeah, yeah,
we'll just like, call it a day. We're done. We're good. But other days, we actually for certain holidays like whether it's Thanksgiving or St. Patrick's Day or something, we'll still do school, and we'll actually learn all about like what it is,
right,
and which
yeah,
is fun.
yeah.
Yeah, and then like we've been doing more of PE day, like
Mhm.
so me and my sister have this philosophy that it's not just your mind that you're training, or that is part of school. It's your mind, your body, your spirit, everything like that.
Right.
So anything that adds to that is technically for us part of homeschool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like even socially, I think it's something that they need to learn. So if it's something that they need to learn, I put that towards working on school.
Yeah.
And so, like, we've been actually doing, we call it PE and Science Day. And we've been going to the park, but, not just like the playground. We'll go hiking. It's actually kind of really
Yeah.
funny to go hiking with a 4-year-old, a 8 and a 10-year-old. It's interesting, but but it's like these experiences. Like, life is not just about like the knowledge, about math and
Yeah.
like adverbs and things. It's like experiencing all these things. Like, it was little Pablo's first time like going to the bathroom in the woods, or
Oh my
like
goodness.
or like getting lost. Okay, what are we going to do if we're lost? Let's
Right.
talk
Yeah.
about it. Or like, oh, there's a stream. Oh, there's some tadpoles. Look. Oh, have you guys ever? And then you talk about tadpoles, and I mean, everything can become a learning
Right.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's really
Eh,
smart too.
Yeah, yeah. I could talk about this like all day. so, so
No, don't worry
if
about
you
it.
need to just like say, okay, Carrie, that's good. That's good.
No, you're fine. No, that's really cool though that like, that's what I'm talking about. Like you just being able to have like all different kinds of experiences. You don't just have to
Yes.
stay at home
Yes.
because you're homeschooling. Like I
Oh
was reading
yeah.
something the other day that was talking about you can have an education without like having a degree or,
Oh yeah.
actually going to school or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Education is stuff to learn. And I was like, that's so true.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And then what's interesting is that a lot of companies now are not just looking at your education, they're looking at your experience and what you can do. So, in a way, a lot of the experience, really counts more than just your degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, experience is a big thing for like being able to for jobs and stuff like that. Yeah. Um, have you found any disadvantages yet that like have
Well,
you found a way to overcome any of them?
well, okay. So I'm not a very social person. Which is funny since I do YouTube and like I talk to people all the time and like, but I'm naturally an introvert, like
Mhm.
and so it's actually hard for me to like challenge little Pablo in in like for the socialization and things like that. But
Right.
I mean, it's actually kind of good for both of us.
Yeah.
And I was meaning to like, I don't know, join a co-op or do something with other groups, and then COVID happens and I'm like,
I
okay,
know.
great. Okay, but I think so that was like kind of the biggest disadvantage for me, but
Yeah.
I think that was a really big disadvantage for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like that's one of the things that people would always talk to me about whenever I homeschooled was
Yeah, they
the
say, "Oh, but yeah."
socialization aspect, and they were like, "Yeah, but you don't get all that time with kids, and you can't do this." Like, and so but my mom actually put us in. She did softball with my sister. Like, we had
Mhm.
a city softball um,
Mhm.
for kids, and
Yeah.
she put my sister in that, and then I did theater, or she did theater later on with us, and then but I mean, you have like church groups that you can do that your kids
Mhm.
are always around, if you go to church, and then there's other homeschool groups out there. That's what we did was we got
Yes.
involved with the other homeschool groups, and we'd have like field trip days and um park days and just like did all
Mhm.
different kinds of things together, and even just went over to each other's
Yes.
house on the weekends or something like that. And so they
Absolutely.
did. Huh?
Mhm. Yeah, I said absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And I really want to do that, and I intend to do that. We were going to church. We still aren't. Pablo, just because of he has a higher risk.
Yeah.
So we haven't gone to do that. But like I was actually in the middle of doing all like that planning and everything because he was about 3 years old, and I'm like, okay, let's do something. So then, so yeah, again, COVID. So
Yeah.
just waiting for the world to kind of get back to normal.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, and
But
it seems like it's taking forever too.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is though, I do want to say that I think just from my experience with little Pablo and also my niece and nephew and some other people that I know that were homeschooled, I think that sometimes, you can actually be better at socializing than kids at school. I mean,
Yeah.
like at kids at school, I get it. I was there. I
Yeah.
didn't even, I mean, I'm sorry, but when I was in school, I was not social. I did not learn my social skills in school. Like nobody sits there and tells you like, I don't know. They don't teach you that. And the thing is that because you're in school all the time, like who do you talk to?
Yeah.
Kids that are the same age as you, right? You don't really
Yeah.
go and talk to kids older or younger. And that's the difference in this homeschool. You kind of have a lot of experience with like so many varied ages and from people that are so different, right? And
Right.
because like little Pablo, he and my sister's kids, they will happily play and interact with each other even though they are have 6 years apart. And then like if there's other kids that come over and like they will play. And I think that also we were doing other like outreach things for the community before
Right, yeah.
before COVID. So
I know. God.
yeah, everything is before COVID. Life was
Yeah.
before COVID. And so you get that interaction with older people, whether they're the seniors or just middle age, and so I think that it helps. It can help kids approach people from all different walks of life and at any age, instead of just being limited to interacting with kids their own age.
Yeah.
Because when you're an adult, you don't, right? It's not
Yeah.
like you find people that are just your age and you hang out with them.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true.
Like when you're in a workplace, there's going to be all different types of people of all ages. So I think it's more like that, you know.
Yeah, it's more like life's gonna be later on, like with they don't ever teach like banking skills and stuff like that, but you have to learn that at some point, like
Yeah.
so. So yeah, like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
totally get that. Like that makes a lot of sense. That's
Yeah.
something I never thought about, but that makes a lot of sense. Because you don't just like you said, you don't just like when you get older, you don't just go and find people that are your same age and like that's the only
Mhm.
people you ever talk to or interact with. So
Yeah,
there's gonna be no matter where you go, work, church, community events or, anything like that, there's gonna be all different kinds of people and all
exactly.
different ages and
Exactly.
races and everything. So that's really good advantage of homeschooling, I think.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
let's see. Kind of look here at my notes. Oh, so do you have like a homeschooling teaching style? Because this is something I want to talk about because there's before it was oh you have to teach this way and stuff like that but
Yeah, like
there's so many different teaching
traditional,
styles now.
classical, unschooling, the other methods that I can't remember.
Yeah, there's so many.
There's so many. Honestly, I am more, a little bit more on the traditional side,
Mhm.
but also at times I just throw out the book and I'm like, okay, we're gonna do it this way.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
and
whatever works best, you know? I mean, if
exactly.
you
And the
learn it,
thing
if
is,
you're learning it, then you're learning it.
it's my thing that like I think that practice is good, but at the same time, we don't want to just practice for the sake of practicing. There should be a
Right.
reason.
Yeah.
If little Pablo already knows something, and I know that he knows something, we'll occasionally review it just so that he doesn't forget. But I don't see the
Yeah.
point of doing like 5 worksheets for the same thing
Yeah.
when he already
Yeah.
gets it. Yeah. So like, so it's kind of, I don't know, I don't really have a particular teaching method like that I stick to. I
Yeah.
kind of pull from lots of different philosophies, and I do like to listen and try different things and see how he responds, because that's part of homeschooling too, is like tailoring it to your child,
Yeah.
or child or children, and seeing how they can thrive. What's the best method or teaching style where they can thrive? Because each person is different and they learn differently.
Yeah. And I think that's why there's so many methods out there now too, because
Mm-hmm.
they've
Yeah,
realized that everybody learns at their own pace, but they also like learn differently. What works for one person doesn't necessarily work for somebody else.
exactly, exactly.
Because I'm a visual, I'm even though I'm visually impaired, like
Yeah.
I'm a visual learner, and so I've got to actually see somebody do it, or somebody's got to teach me how to do it before I'll
Mhm.
actually, start getting the concept of it.
Yeah.
By just kind of like reading about it, um, and stuff like that, like I don't really, I have to do it myself or see somebody else doing it for me to actually, get it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I totally understand that, and, like, for little Pablo, he's definitely a visual learner, in a lot of ways, but also, especially because of his age, like, very kinesthetic, so he'll really, like, learn something through doing,
right,
not just seeing, but doing whatever it is. So, yeah, that's really good. So, like, playing games with reading, and what something else that is really interesting is that because little Pablo is visually impaired like me, it's actually a little bit more challenging in a lot of ways. I don't know if that was on your list to talk about.
that's fine.
What did you say?
I was gonna say, that's go ahead.
Okay, yeah. And the thing is that a lot of it is trial and error, I find, because like, okay, what is going to be the best? Should I like print something really big? Okay, or should we use a CCTV? Like, or should we do something completely different? Or should we use the tablet? Oh, or maybe that's too distracting because because it's a tablet. Okay, so let's use the computer. And oh wait, no, but then you get so distracted with the mouse and moving the mouse.
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah,
It's like, and then like the hard thing is like he wants to see something and I need to see something, and it's like, okay, how are we going to work it out so that we both see it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so but yeah,
Yeah, that
it's
was,
definitely fun.
go ahead.
No, it's definitely fun and just like a learning experience, I think, for both.
Yeah, yeah, you're learning as well as,
Mhm.
as you're teaching him. That's what a lot of I've read that a lot of people are like, I don't have the patience or I don't have the learning experience to actually teach my kids, like,
Oh,
you don't
you'll
have to have
learn.
yeah,
Oh,
you'll
you'll
learn
learn.
yourself. Like, you don't have to have any experience. You will learn, like, if you're open and willing to learn, then
Mhm.
you'll be fine. You'll just learn as they
Exactly.
learn.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, I started out, like I told you, from 0, and I feel like I've learned a lot more sometimes than little Pablo even. like with we're like talking about social studies, and I'm like reading the curriculum and like the things that I have to read to him. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, look, I'm learning too. I'm doing school too.
And I love that. Like, that's one of the things I loved about, because that's what happened to my mom, is that she had been, she had substituted, like, quite a bit and stuff like that. But it's like whenever we started homeschooling, like she learned along with us, even though she had, had substituted and stuff before. She had learned so much more while she was teaching us that, it was awesome. Like we all loved it. So
Yes, absolutely.
that was gonna be my other thing, was talking about, like, the different ways to do to teach and stuff like that. Like I was
Mhm.
gonna talk about resources and curriculum, because like you said, there's so many like you can get, homeschooling kits from different places like Abeka and like Bob Jones
Mhm.
and stuff like that. But then there's the whole, oh well, they're gonna learn from this computer on this
Master
thing,
books. Yeah.
or they're gonna learn from this from something else about this. And
Mhm.
you don't actually have to have a, like, it's good for you to have like a plan, kind of, but like you don't have to stick to just one thing. You can just mix it
Yes.
up if you want to,
Yes.
or you don't even have to use books. You could use the internet nowadays. Like we couldn't do that back then.
They have
you
like
know?
full curriculums that are
Yeah.
online for kids from zero from zero from K to 12. I don't know why I said zero. Yeah, from K to 12. I mean, there's so many resources out there. There's some that are free and there's some that are paid. And like, I mean, we actually are using Abeka right now,
Mhm.
because that's what's working. That's really
Yeah.
what's working. And I actually, little Pablo really enjoys like all the reading and all that kind of thing. That there's like a lot of things that I read to him. And then they have like pictures and things like that he can do. And then so he'll be doing something quietly, or well, try to be quiet
Yeah. Yeah.
while I read. And then like, I just end up asking him questions and just making sure he's paying attention. But it's something that we both really like to do, and he's learning and I'm learning, and it's great. But at the same time, like I have mentioned, like I have made my own things. Like sometimes I notice like, oh, he doesn't really like this reader, or
Yeah.
like it's something that's not interesting and engaging for him. So okay, well, he really likes Thomas the Train. Why don't we get some Thomas the Train readers? Oh, and he just
Yeah.
loved those. And, and so he was like, read, read, read. He's like, okay, let's do it again. Let me read it again. And I'm like, oh yes.
Yeah,
There
that,
you
like,
go.
and that's what I love about it, is that
Mhm.
you can do stuff like that. But
But I mean, even if I didn't want to buy them, like I do this too. Like I use Google Slides, and
mhm.
I just make the background black and then like put white text, and I write stuff to him that he reads. So I'll just say something like, Pablo is in bed, or like, like whatever we're learning.
Yeah, yeah.
And then make it about him, or like me, mama, and about dada, or about people that he cares about, or like animals and things from stories, and
Yeah.
and because I know him and what's interesting for him, he's like, he just is much more open to do more reading about it.
Right, yeah. Like, you could even put, like you said, if you didn't have access to, like, Thomas the Tank, you could put, like, trains or something on the
Mm-hmm.
slides,
Yeah, exactly. And you can put pictures and from Google, and because it's for educational purposes, and I mean, don't sell it.
Yeah, definitely
Then
not.
you just copy and paste it from Google and do whatever you want with it, because like for school related things,
Yeah,
it's that has nothing to do
yeah.
with copyright.
Right,
And
yeah.
yeah, as long as you just keep it to that
Right,
purpose, like for
yeah.
your child.
Yeah, definitely don't sell it. No.
Yeah. No, that would not be a good idea.
No, but those are like some of the those are some of the free resources, as well as
Mhm.
like the using libraries and
Yes, definitely the library. Mhm.
like the library has so much now and you can access so much
I'm
online now too.
Yeah. Yes, and I'm waiting for the library to open again.
Oh no.
And, like, when it was still available to go and, like, me and little Pablo would just go there, and we'd just spend some time there. Sometimes I would actually bring the CCTV there, and we'll just read, or, like, it's just also another environment where there's other kids there,
Yeah,
and there's other people that it's there's just so many ways to give that learning and to just teach,
yeah,
and even like when he was very little, okay, how do we put a book back in the shelf, It's like
yeah.
simple little things like that. Yes, because you're not supposed to pull out every book from the shelf and put them on the floor. No, no, no.
You put all it on the
So
book, so we're gonna learn how to put all them back.
yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Oh
And
my gosh,
yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, and then, like, at least in the library close to where we used to live, they had, like, those little bead mazes, and they had puzzles and, that kinda thing, so it was a nice environment to just even be in.
Yeah. Yeah, I love going to
Yeah.
the library, like, I remember us going to the library a lot when I was little, and as I got older, um and I, got into college and everything like that, like, I just kinda stopped going to the library, and I was like, "Why did I stop
Mhm.
going to the library?"
Oh,
And then
yeah,
as soon as
and
I was, like, looking into actually getting a library card again, COVID happened, of course, so
mm. Yes, of course. COVID made the whole world stop.
I know,
But,
I
I
know.
mean, there's also Bard, and the thing is that, it's actually, I think, it's kind of hard. Sometimes, at least when little Pablo was younger, I tried to, like, play audiobooks for him, and, I guess he was just not understanding them,
Right.
and and it's a different experience when you're like holding a book and you're looking at pictures versus
Yeah,
just purely listening.
yeah.
But the thing is, I kept doing it, and actually what I did was because he wanted, I know a lot of parents can sympathize with this, but a lot of kids asked to read the same book
Oh,
over and
yeah.
over again. And so, like, some of them are kind of long books, and a lot of the time, I'm like, I really don't want to read it. I really don't want to read it. I don't know. My eyes are tired, whatever. So what I did actually is record it. I recorded me reading the book.
Yeah, yeah.
And so little Pablo really liked that. And, we had an older phone, and, I would he would play it for himself and, like, look at the book, and we'll look at the book together or whatnot. And the thing is that when I did record it, I recorded it while I was reading to him before.
Right. Yeah.
And so there's, like, these little, like, parts where he's talking, and then and
Oh.
so for him, it's like, "Oh, yeah, that's me. That's me and mom." So he it's something that, definitely he definitely likes. Though now he is not so much into that. Now he can read, audiobooks by himself, and he'll enjoy them actually. So that was more of when he was younger,
Yeah,
and yeah, he really likes to listen now, and I think just being able to play at the same time as listen is something, that engages his mind a lot, and
right.
so thankfully, it's not just about, like, screen time, which
Yeah.
I do try to limit. Which is
Yeah,
funny because right
I
now
even try
he's
to even
watching a
limit
tablet.
myself.
What did you say?
I said I try to even limit the screen time for myself. So
Uh, yeah, I think we should all do that. A little
yeah.
bit of that. Oh my
But
goodness.
I was going to ask about like technology. Is there any kind of technology that you use, like visually impaired technology, in particular? But it doesn't have to be any, particular
Yeah.
to that or anything. But yeah, just some different technology since it's so much more available for this today.
Well, definitely the CCTV. We use that a lot. But also I a lot of the time I take pictures with my phone. Um and then uh, it's kind of like a scanner app. So with the curriculum, I actually scan the whole thing, and then I can zoom in like a PDF on my phone or a tablet, so that I can it's easier for me to read what I
Right.
have to little Pablo.
Hmm.
And that also helps with him sometimes. It's just a battle of, okay, we're gonna focus on this PDF, okay, so don't try to go to other app. Or and then, no, we're staying on this page. We're staying on this page. Don't swipe. Swipe, 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 swipe.
Okay, now we
So
have to start over.
yeah, but at the same time, in a lot of ways, he definitely engages with the technology better. So in a way, like I noticed that he's more open and willing to do more reading or math or whatever, when it's using some kind of technology, whether it's the computer or a tablet. So besides that, I also use Bookshare. It doesn't
What is
have
that?
It's kind of like Bard, except it's not audiobooks. It's
Okay.
in a Daisy format, and you can use it as an app, or they also have Braille books. If you have a Braille display or something like that. But I try to find books on Bard and Bookshare to see where it's available. And the thing is that what's disappointing is that as an adult, I feel like there's a wider selection,
Hmm.
but like for kids books, I'm like, it
They're
just
so
makes me
limited.
really sad that there's really not as many. I think once they start getting older, there's more, but it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wish that there was a way that, I don't know, they could do more audio children's books on Bard, because there's so many of them that are like famous books
Hmm.
that aren't on Bard. I'm like,
Right.
but I really want to read that book. So yeah.
um, so this goes into, a lot of people are probably interested in like costs and stuff, but since we were talking about, this kind of the curriculum and the cost and kind of your teaching style kind of all go hand in hand, I think,
Hmm.
because the costs are going to vary depending
Oh
on what
yes,
resources you use and curriculum and
definitely.
what your teaching style is. If you want to go and buy the homeschool kits, from different companies, then you can do that.
Hmm.
But if you want to actually lower your cost and you want to do some other teaching styles, or something else
Or
works
use
best for your
online
kids,
resources. Hmm.
yeah, like there's just so many options, and it varies so much on the cost wise.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can definitely agree with that. Because at least, and then you also have to think about, is it going to be parent led, or are you going to get one of those DVD things, or you can stream them, but like where it's like a lesson that they watch, and then you fill in the gaps. So
Right.
like, what do you want to do? And then, I mean, you could even just make your own curriculum.
Right.
Definitely check out your state's standards for
Yes.
their grade, and then you could follow that. But there's like Abeka, there's Bob Jones, there's Sonlight, there's like Master Books has so many different curriculums on there. And it's actually funny. My sister, I was like, you should be the one who's doing the live stream with Cassie tomorrow. Because she just has so much more experience than I do, and she's also visually impaired. But yeah, there's just so many options, and the thing is that something that me and my sister do, we kind of in a lot of ways sometimes pick and choose from different curriculums. Okay, we're gonna do English from this, and then we'll do this math, and then we'll do like history from this other curriculum, or we'll follow this thing that we found on Teachers Pay Teachers, which is also another good resources for I mean I think they do have some curriculum on there, but it's more of supplements. So teachers or even parents create different like PDFs and materials that you can use to reinforce whatever you're teaching them, and then you can actually pay for things like that.
Right.
Yeah, so that's also another resource. Teachers Pay Teachers.
Okay, yeah, like, I'll have to make sure to put all of those in the description.
Yes, it's
So
kind of
that
like Etsy, but for teachers.
okay, for teachers. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, that's the one I haven't heard of, and like I said, that I've been out of homeschooling for so long that, I know it's a lot different now, and so that's like I said, why I wanted to do this video was because I know that I would probably gonna learn some more stuff too, from because I know there's websites and other places that are available now. And my mom actually put in the comments, she said Rod and Staff was good for literature.
Mhm.
And I totally forgot about them. I think they're still available or around.
Yeah, and then there's like all about reading, and then there's reading dynamics, and then there's so many.
Yeah, yeah,
There's literally so many choices, and that's actually in a way sometimes just harder.
yeah,
Okay. When you have so many choices and you're like researching and trying to like see different reviews and like all these things, it's like takes a lot of time, and you're like, okay, but that curriculum people have said this about that curriculum, but then other people have said this, and it's like hard to decide, I think, when there's so many
yeah.
so many choices.
It's easy to become overwhelmed now. Like,
Yes.
so because it's so overwhelming. There's so many that's available, and I think you just have to go with. It's good because that when we were younger too, that there was different like. I'm trying to think because it wasn't really like a homeschool fair. It was more of just like our homeschool groups from around
Yeah,
the
they have
state.
homeschool fairs now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was like where they would go like homeschool groups from all around the state or different states would like come together, but they would sell like their used books, and
Mhm.
there would just be all different kinds of things that were available that way. And
Mhm.
that's something that's an option that you can look into. I'm pretty sure it still
Yeah.
takes place. But that's a good way to
They
try like kind of what would work for you and your family at like maybe if you were wanting to try like the books and stuff, but at a cheaper price.
Mhm. Yeah, and they also have like I see people selling them on different Facebook homeschooling groups, or just on
Yes.
Facebook Marketplace, even on eBay. And also there's a website where it's like half price homeschooling. Oh, I forgot the website, but they have like it's basically like eBay for homeschooling materials. And then there's also people who have who will buy like the student edition, like so it's like the workbook, but they don't actually use it, and they have their kids do it like on a separate paper, or they have their kids what do you call it, you it's kind of like a dry erase pocket, and then they'll
Oh,
have them
yes.
do it on there, or they'll like copy and then print off a different thing because they have multiple kids who
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
they want to like be able to reuse it. So if you know that you're gonna need to do that or want to do that, that can cut the cost of books and things like that.
Bye, Blind Toes. Thank you for coming.
There's Blind Toes. Hello, Blind Toes.
He said earlier, I forgot to mention, but he had earlier he had put waves with 2 toes up.
Oh, yes. Okay, he says, great conversation, ladies. Got to go. Okay, take care.
For coming.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Did y'all speaking of like talking about the audience, anybody who's watching, if you have any questions, just put it in the comments over here and we'll answer it the best that we can.
Yeah.
I did want to mention that every state, like for one of the first things you want to probably do if you're looking into homeschooling is to check out your state's requirements and standards and stuff like that. Like check with the Department of Education or somebody like that. Because every state is different.
Exactly. Every state is different. Like here, you actually would be making a school. Like it's like a school you have to register.
Right.
But the thing is, which is funny because you cannot do that until they're 7. And I'm like, wow, little Pablo's only 4, but we're
Yeah.
already homeschooling. So, you have to keep attendance and all that. So I'm keeping records of like the work he does, but I mean,
Mhm.
at the same time, they don't require, at least in North Carolina, they don't require like, all this documentation until they're 7 years old or
Right.
first grade.
I think that was around about what it was for us in Alabama too, was
Mm.
around 6 or 7. I can't remember. That's what it used to be. I haven't checked it like, years,
Yeah,
but
and I'm like, 7 years old?
yeah,
Wow.
that's like kind of late, I think, but
Yeah, that's how I
every
feel too.
but every state is different and some states
Yes.
will be more strict than the others. So that's why it's
Mhm.
important to check
Yeah.
your state's requirements for homeschooling. And what they require as far as records and everything like that.
And, like, another point is, when you're first starting out, and that's how I still feel, it's something that is very much a learning process for you as a parent. So, give yourself grace and just have patience with yourself even, and it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, just try and have some patience. It's a learning curve for not only your kid, but you as well. And
Mhm.
my mom was saying that, if you have several children, it's good to find bargains for sure. Or
Oh,
make
yeah.
copies. You can make copies too, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
And then we did have a question from Instagram asking about like have y'all been able to go do on any like field trips, like other than I guess going to the park and stuff like that? Like what has been like the like funnest field trip for you?
Well, again, COVID,
Yeah.
COVID, but, but at the same time, there's like um, there's we used to always do library trips, but there's also like these fun little museums in where close by where we are, and they have like a science museum, and little Pablo loves to go there, and they have
Oh,
like all different things about your body and like things that you can learn, and like, but it's all very interactive too. So there's different kinds of things like that, and they have like animals there, and then it's just a really cool and fun place to be
oh,
in.
that's cool.
So that's one of our favorite places to go, but right now they're closed.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, actually,
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're closed, but you know, I don't know.
It's just hard. Yeah, it's
It's
hard to,
just
like,
hard.
go and do
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's just a really great place to have open-ended fun,
Yeah.
and learn at the same time.
Yeah, and I guess, like, you know, anything you wanna call a field trip can, like, be called,
Oh,
or anything
yeah.
you wanna do as a field trip can be called a field trip, like, I'll go into the park and stuff, that can be a field trip, you know, even
That
though
is
it's
a field trip.
yeah, I
At
mean,
4
you're
years
learning
old, it's a lot of fun.
yeah. I mean, even going to the beach, like, you can learn about the
Oh,
shells and the
yeah.
beach
Mhm,
animals and, you know, the ocean and everything, you know? It's I mean,
mhm.
that could be a field trip too, so, um,
I
yeah,
mean,
you make it what you make it what you wanna make it, you
even
know?
in the backyard,
Yeah,
I mean, we were well, my mom and and little Pablo were planting. And then so, it's even just there, it's a great time to talk about like different parts of the plant and like, how they grow and root systems and all those kinds of things
yeah.
and what makes them green, why is it turning brown? Oh, and like, last year we did the seed in a cup
Oh,
experiment
yeah,
thing, and then you
yeah.
can watch the little roots as they grow. Yeah, so, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Mm.
I always love doing stuff like that. I think, I can't remember what it was, Mama, maybe you can help me out, but she had ordered, oh my gosh, it was like, I can't remember what it was, but it was something science-ish, but it was something you could buy in the mail, and then
Mhm.
whenever you get it, you could, like, open it up and, like, kind of, 'cause it was something involving plants or
Yeah, they
animals.
have so
I can't
many
remember
kits
exactly what it
available
was.
now. So it's
Yeah,
like these things where you can sign up for a subscription, and then, like, every month, they'll mail you, like, this whole kit. So there was one that
yeah.
I was, like, looking at, and it's, like, about, like, learning about different countries, and then they give you a passport. But the kids it's
Oh,
not a
that's so
real one,
cool.
but,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and then each month, they'll, like, focus on a different, like, country, and I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool." Or, like, there's also one where if you subscribe, they'll send you a backpack, and then, like, each month, you'll have, like, a new tool or something for outdoors, that will help you do, like, exploring and science and all that, so
Wow,
there's
that's
so
so cool.
yeah, there's so much out there. And even, like, I was seeing, like, book subscriptions now, like, you can get, like, tailored books, like, you can pick what there will be, but, like, it's like this monthly box too that you can receive if you want to. I mean, all this is optional.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just really so much now, like, just I just honestly can't
Mhm.
believe, like, just how far we've come within the time frame from whenever I was homeschooling to nowadays, but, one of the best field trips I think I had was I remember we went to, the planetarium,
Mhm.
and we just had, like it was just us and this other group of homeschoolers that went with us, and, we had, like, the whole planetarium to ourselves, and we were, like,
Oh,
able to see
that's
stars from,
fun.
like, where they would be at from the city, and, um, they, like, just talked about the different constellations and stuff like
Very
that, and
nice.
it was really
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the thing is, like, at 4, there's kind of also a limited thing that you can do. So
Yeah,
so, as he grows up, well, I'm hoping to, like, do more.
yeah. Um, is there anything
Yeah.
else that you wanted to add? Or that you can
Um, Well, there's also, I do want to say that there's also other ways too to supplement. Like, there's a lot of like learning apps and games that, could be helpful if for kids, and they can also have fun at the same time, like ABC Mouse. And then once they get older, there's what is it called? Something Academy, Learning Academy, or
Oh,
something
yeah.
Academy.
Yeah, I know what you're
And
talking
then
about.
there's also something called Starfall, and then there's just a lot of apps out there that you can help with reading or writing. Well, it's harder for the writing, but like, when they're younger, at least, they can start tracing and remembering the letters and things like that. And then like with math and all those things. So there's just a lot of resources out there.
Yeah, yeah. My mom reminded me of those owl pellets. That's what we did.
What is it?
That
What did you say?
we dissected owl pellets.
Oh. Oh boy.
But like
Yeah.
it was actually really interesting because we were able to see like what all plants or what all was in, that what all was in that, what all they ate, from it.
Mhm.
So
Oh boy.
it was very interesting.
That reminds me of when we dissected a cat in high school.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, that was yeah, that was interesting. But also, like, what's so cool about like having the internet now is like you can go to web pages where you can see like the earth, and there's just so much like
Mhm.
just YouTube, not just YouTube, but like you can see like the earth like close up, and then like zoom out, and then like look at the whole solar system and like that kind of thing. But also it's really fun to to make it. Like
Yeah,
my
yeah.
sister and her kids were learning about cells. And then so they were like, "Oh, okay, we'll make a cell out of clay." And then so like, it's just fun things that you can do to, and like because of how fun it is and that you're actually doing it, I think that, it helps the kids remember it more.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Let's see. Was there anything else? We talked about the socialization. Yeah, I wish that the world would kind of get back to normal and open up a little bit more, and it would be safe. It
It's
would be safe.
starting to. It's starting to, so
Yeah.
hopefully
So
soon.
yeah, because at first it didn't really. At first, it didn't really bother me because since I'm visually impaired, I don't go a lot of places anyways. But
Mhm.
I do love to travel, and so after a while, it did start getting like, I started wanting to go places, and I still couldn't, and so it was just,
Mm. Yeah.
you know, and
Yes.
then we moved on top of all that, so
Oh,
it
wow.
was crazy, but yeah, so now I'm like, okay, let's everything's getting back to normal. Come on, just a little bit more. But yeah, the socialization would like I said, there's so many options that were
Mhm.
available. Like you can do community organizations, you can like do volunteer stuff, or you can do church groups, like I said, or
Homeschool
um,
groups
yeah,
and
homeschool groups.
yeah.
Like just all different kinds of things are available if you're wanting to do like socialization activities and just get them
Mhm.
socialized. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm still I'll get back to you on that part. But I mean, like, I do wanna, I just thought of this, like, we went to the park, or it's more of like a historical estate. So they have like the Ronaldo House, which is like this mansion that you can walk through and like, learn about life in the back then.
Yeah.
But they also had like this waterfall, and they had animals like in the stream, and there was like a snapping turtle. And so like when we went there, we had lots of fun, but at the same time, we're like, oh, look, we learned about different things.
Yeah.
Like what is a snapping turtle? What makes it different from like a regular turtle? And then, and it's fun to watch them, and and with a great thing about doing homeschool and being visually impaired now is that they have really great magnifying apps out there,
Oh,
or
yeah.
just regular cameras if you just want to take a picture and then zoom in. I mean, that is just something that I use all the time. Just
Yeah.
zoom in from a really far distance to be able to see whatever it is. And so yeah, and then like while we were on a trail, we found like we were talking about what is moss, and like looking at moss and what side of the tree it's on, and like different types of tree. Oh, and then my niece, she has a very good knowledge of like every single type of tree. So she's telling like my son, yeah, oh, that's a cedar. Oh, that's a cypress tree. Oh, that's a this tree. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's great that they can actually even just teach each other. So, and
Yeah.
it's like everything can be a learning experience.
Yeah, it really can. Like, that's so awesome. I love that, like, they can do that, and they learn so they just go and help somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome.
Okay, I think that's all of my, I think that's all I had. Did you have anything more?
Not that I can think of. But this has definitely been a lot of fun, and maybe in a couple of years I'll I'll have learned more, and after COVID especially be able to, definitely give more feedback about that kind of area.
Yeah,
But yeah. But yeah, thanks so much for having me on, Cassie, and
you're
asking me to
welcome.
come on.
You're welcome. Thank you for agreeing, and thank you to everybody that has joined us. And if you're joining us, if you join us later, then thank you for watching us as well.
Yeah, thanks,
And
everybody.
if y'all do have any questions, whether you're watching this now or later on, just make sure to put it in the comments, and we will ask it or come back and answer that for you. And I'm going to try and put some of the links that we talked about in the description. And if there's one in particular that you were looking for and I didn't put it in there, just let me know in the comments. And yeah, but thank you so much for joining me.
Okay, thank you for having me, and thanks everybody for watching.
Okay, have a good day.
Okay.